let's get to it here. So here you see the hems, the lids, the corner folds, everything. So I roll that bar back, and now we're just looking at just the box. We're gonna add 2 of the hems, and then we're gonna have to make a little bit of an adjustment, and then we're gonna add our 3rd hem. We've got our flat view, and the hems, when we add them, are updated, so it'll start to look very familiar to the in-person layout that you guys have done. Was when you hover over something, it turns gold, so you can select it to let you know that that is what you're going to select. It turns gold in both views. Look at the flat view right now, and you'll see that the same wall that I'm hovering over in my 3-dimensional view is being highlighted. Started a dog ear on this end. I will do next video. Is duplicate this setup. I'm going to delete a bunch of the features that I've done ahead of time so I can get back right to where you guys left off. To delete something that's in your feature tree or design tree there, simply right click and scroll down to hit delete. Now, I don't believe that option is available if you are inside of a feature. Like, for example, you have a little mini window open, usually a sketch or an extrude or your flange command. I went ahead and opened up my flat view because I'd like to see my flat view updating as I update the 3-dimensional view. I'm gonna go ahead up to my sheet metal toolbar, and I'm gonna select the hem tool. I'm gonna go ahead and hem the 2 long ends first. You're gonna see we're gonna keep those 2 side wall hems straight, flattened with the check marks, and 0.25. You should also be attentive to if the hems are bending inside the box or outside the box, because that can be adjusted with your double arrows. I'm gonna go ahead and name it.
Sidewalls, 1/4 inch hem, and then hit our green check mark.
Try and add a hem to the 3rd wall. Notice though, when I try and do that 3rd hem, that we end up with interference. In fact, if you zoom in on those red lines, you'll see what's happening is this sheet metal in this corner, when you fold it over, is hitting the sheet metal in this corner, and that can't happen. It's tough to see the collision point, but see how the metal is folding into each other? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the end walls just a tad shorter than what we have right now to give us that clearance. I'm gonna drag my roll back bar right above that end wall hems feature. And I'm going to leave that end wall hem feature there, because while it's there, it's not hurting anything. And it will remind me that that is the end goal. To shrink that walls of that end wall, I'm going to use a command called move face. We got to zoom in on that end wall face, and I recommend zooming in to the top corner of your part. That way you don't get the 2 faces mixed up, because you can obviously see there's a hem on one of them, and we're moving the face of the wall that does not have a hem. So the purple walls are long wall, and the green walls are shorter wall, and you want to pick the end of the green wall shown here in red. Now we're going to move this face. It's going to physically relocate it 0.0625 away from the corner, which is the same as 1/16. and make sure the arrow is pointing inside the box, not outside the box. Otherwise, your wall will actually grow. We want it to shrink. So have the arrow pointing inside the box. Now, it doesn't really matter which corner you start this on, but I would recommend making sure that the dice in my right-hand corner is oriented in a similar way to the dice in your corner of your screen. So I named that move face command. You're going to do the same. And we're going to use the exact same method to get the opposite side of that wall to shrink in 1/32 of an inch. So follow along and tackle this one maybe a little more independently. Remember, you're picking that skinny face that's on the end of your short walls, shown here again in red. We're going to go ahead and shrink the opposite end wall in a similar manner. In the feature window for Move Face, there is an input rectangle that shows your selections. And this time, instead of selecting one of these skinny faces, we're going to do both of them. It brings up face of 2.25 inch end walls, another good reason to name your features so that you can visualize some of this. Now, what happens if you click the wrong thing like I just did? Well, you can click it again to deselect it, but oftentimes what happens is we accidentally select more and more and more things, and if you look at the number next to your cursor, it'll tell you how many things you've got selected. And when you click something and it's selected, if you can click it again in the exact same spot, it'll deselect it. But if you click something else on accident, it'll select it. So use the blue rectangle and exit. Just hit the red X on any name or part or whatever that you don't recognize or doesn't think it should be a move face command, and that'll clean up your blue rectangle so it only includes the faces you want to move in. I'm going to name it end wall move face 0.0625 pair because we did the both of them with that feature. And in theory, you could have done all four of them that way. With both those end walls shrunk down, you're now able to bring your rollback bar back down, reactivate that end wall hem that we started with, and you'll see that all three sides will have a hem. They'll show up in your flat view. In the next video, dog ears.